Minimize that. Bring this up. Okay, we good. We live on YouTube. Did I say live? Okay, we rolling on YouTube. We good. Okay, let's go put this. Zippable. Oh. All right, y'all. Oh, I got the wrong planner. Hold on. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is October the 12th, 2021, day 277 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 946. Today, y'all, we're reading Job 31, 32, and 33. Then we're going to start a new chapter in Caesar's Messiah, chapter, where is my, oh, okay, I'm sorry, chapter 14, y'all, and that is, I forgot the title of it. It's called Building Jesus. It should be quite interesting, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do the Shema. Go ahead and get this started. Got a busy day today. Okay, adjust this real quick. Put that right there. All right, y'all. All right, remember the Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, starting at verse 3. Remember, read it when you get a chance. I just pull out the meat and potatoes of it. All right. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the mighty one of our fathers, has promised us in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your mighty one, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children. And you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our mighty one, as he has commanded us. All right, beautiful people. Mom, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. Job chapter 31. Oh, hold on. Let me put this up here. All right, y'all. Job 31. Job's final protest of innocence. I have made a covenant with my eyes, not to look with lust at a young woman. For what has God chosen? For what has Yah above chosen for us? What is our inheritance from the Almighty on high? Isn't it calamity for the wicked and misfortune for those who do evil? Doesn't he see everything I do and every step I take? Have I lied to anyone or deceived anyone? Let Yahuwah weigh me on the scales of justice, for he knows my integrity. If I have strayed from his pathway, or if my heart has lusted for what my eyes have seen, or if I am guilty of any other sin, then let someone else eat the crops I have planted. Let all that I have planted be uprooted. If my heart has been seduced by a woman, or if I have lusted for my neighbor's wife, then let my wife serve another man. Let another man sleep with her. For lust is a shameful sin, a crime that should be punished. It is a fire that burns all the way to hell. It will wipe out everything I own. If I had been unfair to my male or female servants when they brought their complaints to me, how How could I face Yah? What could I say when he questioned me? Excuse my God, baby. Not my God, baby. My grandbabies. Both of them crying now in the background. They're getting it together. Okay. If I have been unfair to my male or female servants when they brought their complaints to me, how could I face Yah? What could I say when he questioned me? For Yahuwah created both me and my servants. He created us both in the womb. Have I refused to help the poor or crushed the hope of widows? Have I been stingy with my food and refuse to share it with orphans? No. From childhood, I have cared for orphans like a father, and all my life I have cared for widows. Whenever I saw the homeless without clothes and the needy with nothing to wear, did they not praise me for providing wool and clothing to keep them warm? If I raise my hand against an orphan, knowing the judges would take my side, then let my shoulder be wrenched out of place. Let my arm be torn from its socket. That would be better than facing Yahuwah's judgment. For if the majesty of Yahuwah opposes me, what hope is there? Have I put my trust in money or felt secure because of my gold? Have I gloated about my wealth and all that I own? Have I looked at the sun shining in the skies or the moon walking down its silver pathway and been secretly enticed in my heart to throw kisses at them in worship? If so, I should be punished by the judges, for it would mean that I had denied the God of heaven. Have I ever rejoiced when disaster struck my enemies or become excited when harm came their way? No, I have never sinned by cursing anyone or by asking for revenge. My servants have never said, he let others go hungry. I have never turned away a stranger, but have opened my doors to everyone. Have I tried to hide my sins like other people do, concealing my guilt in my heart? Have I feared the crowd or the contempt of the masses so that I kept quiet and stayed indoors? If only someone would listen to me. Look, I will sign my name to my defense. Let the Almighty answer me. Let my accuser write out the charges against me. I would face the accusation proudly. I would wear it like a crown, for I would tell him exactly what I have done. I would come before him like a prince. If my land accuses me and all its furrows cry out together, or if I have stolen its crops or murdered its owners, then let thistles grow on that land instead of wheat and weeds instead of barley. Job's words are ended. Alicia, yeah, hey girl, hey, slow show, shalom. Next chapter, Job chapter 32. We almost done with Job. It's only 42 chapters in Job, y'all. Elihu responds to Job's friends. Job's three friends refused to reply further to him because he kept insisting on his innocence. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite of the clan of Ram, became angry. So remember, although we see Job and his three friends, there was also a fourth one, a younger guy, just sitting off up in the cut. He didn't say anything because he was the youngest out of all of them, but he was watching this conversation go back and forth between Job and his three friends, right? And so this is him talking now. I'll start over. Job's three friends refused to reply further to him because he kept insisting on his innocence. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite of the clan of Ram, became angry. He was angry because Job refused to admit that he had sinned and that Yahuwah was right in punishing him. He was also angry with Job's three friends, for they made Yah appear to be wrong by their inability to answer Job's arguments. Elihu had waited for the others to speak to Job because they were older than he. But when he saw that they had no further reply, he spoke out angrily. Elihu, son of Barachel, the Buzite, said, I am young and you are old, so I held back from telling you what I think. I thought those who are older should speak, for wisdom comes with age. But there is a spirit within people, and the breath of Almighty with but there is a spirit within people, the breath of the Almighty within them that makes them intelligent. Sometimes the elders are not wise. Sometimes the aged do not understand justice. So listen to me and let me tell you what I think. I have waited all this time, listening very carefully to your arguments, listening to you grope for words. I have listened, but not one of you has refuted Job or answered his arguments. And don't tell me he is too wise for us. Only God can convince him. If Job had been arguing with me, I would not answer with your kind of logic. You sit there baffled with nothing more to say. Should I continue to wait now that you are silent? Must I also remain silent? No, I will say my piece. Boy, ain't nobody ask you for your peace. Must I also remain silent? No, I will say my piece. I will speak my mind, for I am full of pent up words, and the spirit within me urges me on. I am like a cask of wine without a vent, like a new wineskin ready to burst. I must speak to find relief, so let me give my answers. I won't play favorites or try to flatter anyone, for if I tried flattery, my creator would soon destroy me. Last chapter for the day, Job chapter 33. Elihu presents his case against Job. Listen to my words, Job. Pay attention to what I have to say. Now that I have begun to speak, let me continue. I speak with all sincerity. I speak the truth. For the spirit of Yahuwah has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Answer me if you can. Make your case and take your stand. Look, you and I both belong to Yah. I too was formed from clay, so you don't need to be afraid of me. I won't come down hard on you. You have spoken in my hearing, and all you have spoken in my hearing, and I have heard your very words. You said, I am pure, I am without sin, I am innocent, I have no guilt. Yahuwah is picking a quarrel with me, and he considers me his enemy. He puts my feet in stocks and watches my every move. But you are wrong, and I will show you why. For Yahuwah is greater than any human being. So why are you bringing a charge against him? Why why say he does not respond to people's complaints? For Yahuwah speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams, in visions of the night, when deep sleep falls upon people as they lie in their beds. He whispers in their ears and terrifies them with warnings. He makes them turn from doing wrong. He keeps them from pride. He protects them from the grave, from crossing over the river of death. Or Yahuwah disciplines people with pain on their sick beds, with ceaseless aching in their bones. They lose their appetite for even the most delicious food. Their flesh wastes away, and their bones stick out. They are at death's doors. The angels of death wait for them. But if an angel from heaven appears, a special messenger to intercede for a person and declare that he is upright, he will be gracious and say, rescue him from the grave, for I have found a ransom for his life. Then his body will become as healthy as a child's, firm and youthful again. When he prays to Yahuwah, he will be accepted, and Yahuwah will receive him with joy and restore him to good standing. He will declare to his friends, I have sinned and twisted the truth, but it was not worth it. Yahuwah rescued me from the grave, and now my life is filled with light. Yes, Yahuwah does these things again and again for people. He rescues them from the grave so they may enjoy the light of life. Mark this well, Job. Listen to me, for I have more to say. But if you have anything to say, go ahead, speak, for I am anxious to see you justified. But if not, then listen to me. Keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. And that's the end of our reading for today. That is Job 31, 32, and 33. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and hop on over to Caesar's Messiah and start this new chapter and see how this Jesus was built. Kurt, shalom. Trina, hey, girl, hey. That's Wabu. That's Wabu. All right, y'all. Chapter 14, page 329. The title is called Building Jesus. All right, and I think we might be able to get through this whole chapter today. I think maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. Okay. The authors of the Gospels constructed Jesus from the lives of several prophets in the Jewish canon. Thus, since Elijah and Elisha had raised children from the dead, Jesus would do the same. Whenever possible, Jesus' miracles would be greater than the ones that they were based upon. For example, Elisha satisfied 100 men with 20 loaves and had bread to spare. Reference 183. Did y'all know that? Y'all read it enough to realize Elisha did that? Let's go to reference 183 so you can mark it so you can go look at it. Reference 183 is Kings. What did this just say? This jank say 4th Kings. What? Hold on. I'm glad I looked at that. 4th Kings. I didn't read this in 4th Kings. I need to go find my reference. Hold on. This jank say 4th Kings, chapter 4, verses 1 through 37 and verses 42 through 44. Hold on. Because I know I read it, but I ain't read no 4th King. Hold on. 4th Kings. That's what this say, right? Let's say 4. Y'all got the book. Hold on. Let me double check, make sure I ain't looking at that wrong. Let me make sure I ain't tripping. I'm checking the other references real quick, looking for Kings. Well, I'm gonna find both references. The reference I read, and I'm gonna look for this 4th Kings, y'all. Okay. It say 4th Kings, chapter 4, verses 1 through 37, and verses 42 through 44. I'm gonna find this. I'll share it with y'all in the comment section later today once I do. Okay, to see if okay. All right. Back to the reading. Okay. Okay. I'll read it again. Whenever possible, Jesus' miracles would be greater than the ones they were based upon. For example, Elisha satisfied 100 men with 20 loaves and had bread to spare. I'm thinking it was in the Legends of the Jews where I read about it, not the 4th Kings reference. I'm gonna check them both. Okay. For example, Elisha satisfied 100 men with 20 loaves and had bread to spare. Reference 183. So Jesus would feed 5,000 men with 5 loaves and 2 fish and had 12 basketfuls to spare. Since Jesus was to be the prophet envisioned by Daniel, Jesus' life would also include episodes that fulfilled Daniel's prophecies. However, though many of the extraordinary accomplishments of Jesus' ministry were taken from the lives of prior prophets, the character he was primarily based upon was Moses. Moses was chosen as the basic prototype for Jesus because he had been the founder of the religion of Christianity. Hold on. Moses was chosen as the basic prototype for Jesus because he had been the founder of the religion Christianity would replace. The founder of the new religion was to be seen as the new Moses. This is already widely recognized in New Testament scholarship. The fact that Jesus was based on Moses is easy to demonstrate because the authors of the Gospels went out of their way to make sure the converts to Christianity understood this. For example, the story of Jesus' childhood in Matthew is based upon the childhood of Moses. The outline is the same in both cases. The birth of a child causes distress to the rulers, followed by a consultation with wise men, a massacre of children, and a miraculous rescue, with Egypt as the land of rescue. In addition to creating parallels between the lives of the founders of the two religions, The authors of the Gospels also borrowed events from the story of Exodus to create the impression that Christianity, like Judaism, was of divine origin. The best known of these are the parallels that the Gospels use to set up Jesus as the Passover lamb, establishing him as the deliverer of the religion that was to replace Judaism. All four Gospels show, as does Paul, that Passover and Judaism itself are obsolete. Jesus' sacrifice of himself creates a new Passover and a new religion. It is important to recognize how literally early Christianity saw itself as a replacement for Judaism, even to the extent that the early church fathers claimed that the ancient Hebrews were Christians and not Jews. Eusebius wrote, quote, that the Hebrew nation is not new, but is universally honored on account of its antiquity, is known to all. The books and writings of this people contain accounts of ancient men, rare indeed and few in number, but nevertheless distinguished for piety and righteousness and every other virtue. Of these, some excellent men lived before the flood, others of the sons and descendants of Noah lived after it, among them Abraham, whom the Hebrews celebrate as their own founder and forefather. If anyone should assert that all those who have enjoyed the testimony of righteousness from Abraham himself back to the first man were Christians in fact, and if not in name, he would not go beyond the truth. End quote. And that's reference 184. Jesus introduces the idea that Christianity will replace Judaism by stating that his living flesh would be a replacement for the manna the Israelites were given by God during their wandering in the wilderness. Quote, your fathers ate manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the living bread which comes down from heaven, that one may eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. End quote. And that's John chapter 6, verse 49 through 52. To demonstrate that Christianity's divine origin parallels Judaism's, the authors of Christianity took the events from the story of the original Exodus that had numbers associated with them and inserted those numbers into their story of the birth of Christianity. In other words, since God gave the law to Moses 50 days after the first Passover, Christianity would give the new law 50 days after its Passover, the crucifixion of Jesus. On the day that the law of Moses was given, 3,000 died for worshiping the golden calf, reference 185. On the day the Spirit was given to the disciples of Christ, 3,000 were added into Christ and received life, reference 186, signifying that the improved covenant with God brought life. These parallels were obviously created to establish Christianity as the new Judaism. The Gospels and the writings of Josephus work together to this end. The New Testament records the birth of the new Judaism, while the history of Josephus records the death of the Second Temple Judaism. All the parallels I have given above between Christianity and Judaism and between Jesus and Moses are well known. In addition, the authors of the Gospels also established something else heretofore unknown by mirroring the sequence found in the story of Exodus and by establishing Jesus's crucifixion. I like how he broke the word up. He put in parentheses cruci, CRUCI dash fiction. Like this is a fictitious story. It's complete fiction, right? Okay, let me read it again. That was just funny to me. Okay. All the parallels I have given above between Christianity and Judaism and between Jesus and Moses are well known. In addition, the authors of the Gospels also established something else heretofore unknown. By mirroring the sequence found in the story of Exodus and by establishing Jesus' crucifixion as a new Passover, they establish a continuum. One, hold on. Yeah, they establish a continuum, one that mirrored the story of the Israelites leaving Egypt and wandering until they were permitted to enter the promised land 40 years after the Passover. As with the time sequence for the fulfillment of the prophecies of Daniel, once the continuum of the new Exodus had begun, there could be no stopping until all had come to pass. What is the conclusion to the 40 years of wandering in the New Testament? Since the Gospels end shortly after Jesus' death, where is the conclusion to Christianity's 40-year exodus recorded? The answer is found within Wars of the Jews. To conclude Christianity's 40-year cycle, Josephus links the date of Jesus' crucifixion to the date he established for the destruction of the Judean fortress Masada. Josephus records that the year the stronghold was destroyed was 73 CE. Scholars, citing archaeological evidence, often date the fall of Masada to 74, not 73 CE. They may well be correct, but Josephus was interested not in recording history, but in creating mythology. He therefore entitled the chapter that contains the passage describing Masada's destruction as follows. Quote, Book 7, containing the interval of about 3 years, from the taking of Jerusalem by Titus to the sedition of the Jews at Cyrene, end quote, and that's reference 187. Josephus does not need to be any more precise than he is in the phrase about 3 years. If his time span is inaccurate, and it surely is, who had been there to point out his error? Josephus is only interested in using history to convey his message. In this instance, he wishes the reader to believe that Masada fell 3.5 years after the destruction of the temple, that is, in 73 CE. Josephus then gives the day and month of the conclusion to the siege at Masada. Quote, They then chose 10 men by lot out of them to slay all the rest, every one of whom laid himself down by his wife and children on the ground and threw his arms about them, and they offered their necks to the stroke of those who by lot executed that melancholy office. And when these 10 had, without fear, slain them all, they made the same rule for casting lots for themselves, that he whose lot it was should first kill the other 9, and after all should kill himself. Those others were 960 in number, the women and children being withal included in that computation. This calamitous slaughter was made on the 15th day of the month of Xanthicus, which is the month of Nisan, end quote, and it's reference 188. Josephus records that the 14th of Nisan is the day when the Jews celebrated Passover. The Gospel of John states that Jesus was crucified on the 13th of Nisan and arose on the 15th. The 15th of Nisan, 73 CE, is 40 years to the day after Christ's resurrection. Only readers of both the Gospels and Josephus would be aware of this exact 40-year time span. In other words, the Gospel of John establishes the date of Jesus' resurrection as the 15th of Nisan, 33 CE, and Josephus establishes the date of the end of the Jewish war as the 15th of Nisan, 73 CE. It is only when the two works are read together that the readers are under that I'm sorry. It is only when the two works are read together that the readers are able to understand that it was, just as Jesus had predicted, exactly 40 years between the two events. Again, either Josephus inadvertently recorded something truly supernatural, or the two works had been aligned to create this effect. The authors of the New Testament and Josephus thus created a parallel between the first 40 years of Judaism, during which the Israelites wandered into the wilderness, and purported first 40 years of Christianity, from the supposed time of Jesus' death until the Romans completed the conquering of Israel. These 40 years, which can be called the wandering for Christianity, date from Christ's date from Christ's resurrection on the 15th of Nisan, 33 CE, until the end of the Jewish rebellion, which is marked by the destruction of the Sakari, the movement that Christianity replaced, on the 15th of Nisan, 73 CE. The parallel 40 years of wandering by the two religions is, of course, a continuation of the parallels between Jesus and Moses, which are designed to create the impression that the origin of Christianity parallels the divine origin of Judaism. The 40 years of wandering for Christianity was inspired by the following passage from Joshua, which describes what happened to the Israelites after the original Passover. The passage makes clear the logic behind the New Testament author's decision to establish the precise 40-year interval between Jesus' death and the destruction of the Judean fortress Masada. They wish to show not only that Christianity's origin paralleled Judaism's, which proved it had replaced Judaism's special relationship with God, but also that the 70 CE destruction of Jerusalem had been divinely ordained. The men of war were consumed because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, exactly as has happened after the original Passover. Quote, for the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord, unto whom the Lord sware that he would not show them the land which the Lord sware unto their forefathers that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey. End quote. And that's reference 189. 40 years is the traditional period of penance for Israelites, as well as the length of a generation. This tradition stems, of course, from the original 40 years of wandering. By giving Christianity a 40-year cycle, the Romans were proving that their conquest of Judea was merely another case of God's wrath for Jewish wickedness, as had often been recorded by the Jews' own religious literature. Quote, and the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. End quote. Reference 190. I want to underscore how important this 40-year period after Jesus' death is for is I'm sorry. I want to underscore how important this 40-year period after Jesus' death is for the theory of there being a single source for the New Testament works. For the New Testament and the works of Josephus. In the Gospel of John, Jesus' ministry is described as having encompassed 3 Passovers. These 3 Passovers are not mentioned in the Synoptic Gospels. The author of John consciously establishes the date of Christ's death as occurring in the year 33 CE. He does this because this is the only way possible arithmetically, arithmetically, arithmetic, y'all know what I'm trying to say. Arithmetically, okay, to create the correct alignment with the prophecies of Daniel, and also to create a 40-year cycle between Jesus' resurrection and the end of the Jewish war. The works of Josephus have been deliberately configured to demonstrate that the prophecies of Daniel culminate in the 70 CE destruction of Jerusalem, an understanding he shared with the writers of the Gospels. In order to prove that Rome had God's divine providence, the creators of Christianity provided evidence that the 70 CE sacking of Jerusalem was foreseen by Daniel, the evidence being the histories of Josephus. In this way, all the important dates of Jesus' life were back calculated to be in alignment with the destruction of Jerusalem. This is completely clear with regard to the beginning of his ministry and his resurrection. My conjecture is that Jesus' birth was also established at exactly 70 years before the siege of Jerusalem. Though scholars have given a number of explanations of how the year of Christ's birth was exactly 70 years from the destruction of Jerusalem, my analysis suggests that it was done to mimic the 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem described in the book of Daniel. Quote, in the first year of his reign, Daniel understood by books the number of years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. End quote. And that's reference 191. The dates of Jesus' life were simply more pieces of Judaism's chosen by the creators of Christianity to meet its logical and theological requirements. The central events of Christianity, the birth of Christ, the beginning of his ministry, and his death, are 1 CE, 30 CE, and 33 CE. All these events were calculated backward from the destruction of Jerusalem. They were chosen to fit into a pattern that combined the prophecies of Daniel and the life of Moses. The beginning of Jesus' ministry in 30 CE was calculated to be exactly 40 years from the day that the Romans under Titus pitched camp outside Jerusalem, the second coming. This dating system is is not based upon the birth of a world historical religious leader, but orients itself from the destruction of a city. Thus, the theological chronology created by the inventors of Christianity ran in a 40-year cycle between Jesus' resurrection and the fall of Masada. While this 40-year cycle was in motion, the other template for Christianity, the prophecies of Daniel, ran concurrently. In fact, Christianity's version of the prophecies of Daniel was heading for its conclusion on the same day as its 40-year cycle of wandering. What you doing, little baby? You trying to get up in? Okay, you got it. Be careful. You got it? You come to join me? Okay. He fine. As long as he don't start screaming. He good. No, he good. They're fine. In fact, Christianity's version of the prophecies of Daniel was heading for its conclusion on the same day as its 40-year cycle of wandering. In the following passage, notice that the day the Romans pitched camp at Jerusalem was the 14th of Nisan. Josephus is falsifying history once again to create both a parallel between Jesus' ministry and Titus's campaign and a point of orientation for the prophecies of Daniel. The date Josephus gives for when the Romans first pitched camp outside Jerusalem was exactly 40 years from the first of the three Passovers used by John to date Jesus' ministry, the day that Jesus first came to Jerusalem. And that's reference 192. Josephus wishes us to believe that Jesus came to Jerusalem 40 years before Titus began his siege of Jerusalem, a siege that Jesus predicted would occur before his generation had passed away. He also wishes us to believe that Masada fell 40 years to the day from Jesus' resurrection. These two perfect 40-year cycles are, of course, absurd and in and of themselves show the planned relationship between the New Testament and the wars of the Jews. I have concluded the entire passage because it shows the brutality of the destruction. Notice the use of the word repent in conjunction with the Jewish rebels. Quote, and indeed, why do I relate these particular calamities? While Manius, the son of Lazarus, came running to Titus at this very time and told him that there had been carried out through that one gate which was entrusted to his care no fewer than 115,880 dead bodies in the interval between the 14th day of the month of Xanthicus, which is Nisan, when the Romans pitched their camp by the city, and the first day of the month of Panius, which is the month of Tammuz. This was itself a prodigious multitude, and though this man was not himself set as a governor at that gate, yet was he appointed to pay the public stipend for carrying these bodies out, and so was obliged of necessity to number them, while the rest were buried by their relations, though all their burial was but this, to bring them away and cast them out of the city. After this man there ran away to Titus, many of the eminent citizens, hold on, let me go back and read that again. After this man there ran away to Titus, many of the what? Hold on. Oh, okay. I was still reading it wrong. After this man there ran away to Titus, they should have commas in here. There ran away to Titus many of the eminent citizens and told him the entire number of the poor that were dead, and that no fewer than 600,000 were thrown out at the gates, though still the number of the rest could not be discovered. And they told him further that when they were no longer able to carry out the dead bodies of the poor, they laid their corpses on heaps in very large houses and shut them up therein. As also that a mediumus, no, that don't say that. Mediumness. Mediumness. Okay. As also that a mediumness of wheat was sold for a talent, and that when a while afterward it was not possible to gather herbs, by reason the city was all walled about, some persons were driven to that terrible distress as to search the common sewers and old dung hills of cattle, and to eat the dung which they got there. Yeah, I'm about to throw up. And what they of old could not endure so much as to see, they now use for food. When the Romans barely heard all this, they commiserated their case, while the seditious, who saw it also, did not repent, but suffered the same distress to come upon themselves, for they were blinded by the fate which was already coming upon the city and upon themselves also. End quote. And that's reference 193. It is important to bear in mind that because Josephus's time sequences are fiction, there is no real way to know when Jerusalem was destroyed or when Masada fell. In fact, if we conclude that all the dates in Josephus are untrustworthy, we lose our entire chronological understanding of the first century. But this is beside the point with regard to this work. All we need to know is whether Josephus was intentionally creating the impression that it was 7 years from the beginning of the war until the fall of Masada. And of this we can be certain because because the precise alignment of the dates required to prove that Daniel's prophecies were coming to pass could only have been evidence of God's hand on earth or have been created intentionally. In fact, all the dates Josephus mentions that are in alignment with the New Testament are to be expected. Once Josephus has linked events from the war to Daniel's prophecies, he cannot stop until the conclusion of the week, that is, 3.5 years from when the daily sacrifice ended. Just as once the New Testament began the 40-year cycle of the Exodus with the establishment of its Passover lamb, there could be no stopping until the men of war were consumed because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord. The book of Daniel states, quote, "Then he shall confirm a covenant for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of one abomination shall be the one who makes desolate." End quote. And that's reference 194. Once Josephus has shown that the end of the daily sacrifice occurs exactly 3.5 years from the beginning of the week, that is, from the beginning of the war, he must stay within the confines of Daniel's prophecies in order to prove that they have come to pass. He must conclude the 7-year week, 3.5 years from the date which he gives for the end of the daily sacrifice. He orients the reader to this time structure with the title he creates for the chapter of Wars of the Jews that describes the destruction of Masada. Quote, "Containing the interval of about 3 years from the taking of Jerusalem by Titus to the sedition of the Jews at Cyrene." End quote. Notice that this chapter's title uses the same device that the author used to orient the fall of Masada to the 40-year cycle. The two streams of theological, hold on, the two streams of theological support for Christianity, Moses and Daniel, have been fused. They are heading for a simultaneous conclusion at Masada on the day Christianity replaces Judaism. Josephus outlines the symbolic landscape of this theological coup by recording that the leader of the Jewish rebels at Masada was another Eleazar, who, as noted above, was a descendant of Judas the Galilean and, like his ancestor, a leader of the Sicarii. The New Testament and Josephus worked together to create a subtle but clear relationship between the families of Judas the Galilean, their Sicarii followers, and Jesus and his family and followers. This relationship has three central points. First, the New Testament records that Jesus' family agreed to pay the Roman tax by going to Bethlehem to register in the census of Quirinius. This places Jesus' family in direct opposition to Judas the Galilean because Josephus records that, quote, "A certain Galilean named Judas prevailed with his countrymen to revolt and said they were cowards if they would endure to pay a tax to the Romans and submit to mortal men as their lords," end quote. That's reference 195. Second, the New Testament records that Judas the Iscariot, or Sicarii, son of Simon the Iscariot, was responsible for Jesus' crucifixion, thereby showing that the Sicarii are responsible for Jesus' death. Quote, "He alluded to Judas, the son of Simon the Iscariot, for he it was who, the one of the 12, was afterwards to betray him." End quote. Is John chapter 6, verse 72. And also, quote, "While supper was proceeding, the devil, having this time suggested to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, the thought of betraying him." End quote. And that's John chapter 13, verse 2. Finally, Josephus records that Eleazar, Judas the Galilean's descendant, and his Sicarii followers destroyed themselves at Masada 40 years to the day from Jesus' resurrection. This perfectly identifies the Sicarii as members of the wicked generation whom Jesus warned would be destroyed before the generation passed away. Yes, baby. What? You want to get up there? Go ahead. You can get up there. Oh, you want to get up here with me? Come on. Okay, y'all, we got a special guest. Come on. Ugh. All right, Jackson. My second grandbaby. He wanted to be in the video today. You lucky too, baby, still asleep. Ooh. She was coming ready to snatch you down off of here. And I'm sure she's gonna be waking up in a few minutes. Okay. Finally, Josephus records that Eleazar, Judas, the Galilean's descendant, and his Sakari followers destroyed themselves at Masada 40 years to the day from Jesus' resurrection. This perfectly identifies the Sakari as members of the wicked generation whom Jesus warned would be destroyed before the generation passed away. The fall of Masada brings an end to what Josephus describes as the fourth philosophy, a synonym for the Sakari, the messianic movement founded by Judas the Galilean. The suicide of the Sakari on this date was meant to represent atonement for their role in crucifying Jesus 40 years ago. By simultaneously concluding Christianity's 40 years of wandering and the end of the fourth philosophy, the Messianic movement Christianity replaced. Hold on, let me get that again. By simultaneously concluding Christianity's 40 years of wandering and the end of the fourth philosophy, the Messianic movement Christianity replaced, Josephus is making the point that the future belongs to Christianity. And he was correct, of course. The future did belong to Christianity. By the midpoint of the second century CE, Judaism had been driven from its homeland and would never again be a significant threat to Rome. Josephus's recording of the fall of Masada contains many telling points. He reiterates that John, the Sakari leader, who was lampooned as the Apostle John, like the man from Gadara with the unclean spirit in the New Testament, filled the countryside with wickedness. Quote, Yet did John demonstrate by his actions that these Sakari were more moderate than he was himself, for he not only slew all such as gave him good counsel to do what was right, but treated them worst of all as the most bitter enemies that he had among all the citizens. Nay, he filled his entire country with 10,000 instances of wickedness. End quote. And that's Wars of the Jews 7, 8, and 263. Josephus records Eleazar's belief that God has condemned the Jewish nation. The unspoken point, since God has condemned Judaism, is that Christianity is its replacement. Quote, you ready to get down? That's what you're trying to do? Yes. Okay. All right. Go play. See you later, Jackson. Tiffany said hey. She said, hey, Jax. Jerry. Shayla said, hey, Jackson. Shalom. Shayla. I would say so, Jerry. Jerry said, can we please ask, is an angel a being from the spiritual world to our physical world? I would say so. In the simplest form, without me getting into too many details, I would say yes. And I say that simply because I know and I understand a little bit about the spiritual realm, and we can also operate in that realm, right? So you got to be careful. I want to make sure I say that the right way. Yeah. To answer your question, I would say yes, right? But we can also operate in that realm as we begin to grow and we understand the spiritual realm. You can Although your body will stay here, but you can operate in an unseen realm, and you can literally like move about the earth. You can literally go wherever you want to go, right? I'll leave it like that, just kind of like short and sweet. But yes, an angel is a being from the spiritual world or the unseen realm unto to our physical world. So if they want to manifest themselves where they are seeing, they can do that. Just like if you understand how the spiritual realm works, like we're in this physical realm, we're here. We can do the same thing too, right? A lot of people don't reach that state. A lot of people don't care to do the research and the things that it takes to develop yourself and to understand these bodies. And there really should be a class on this. There really should. Like this was common knowledge long time ago, right? We're so far removed from it. We think it's just downright spooking of the devil, which it's not, right? It's how we were created. It's the power these bodies hold and the things that it can do. So simply put, Jerry, yes. I would say yes, right? Without getting into too much more. So let's finish this reading. We have 56 minutes. Okay. So let me see how many pages I got. Here's what I do. I may not finish this today. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So because I got like 8 more. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. No, about 12 pages. 6 of these pages, but two-sided, about 12 pages. But we will finish it tomorrow, right? Which will be my pre-recorded video. I'm gonna pre-record the video and I'm gonna set it to go live, y'all, at the time 7:15. So although I won't be live with you, it will be a premiere. So hopefully I'll have a signal where I can interact with you guys in the chat here on uh YouTube. Facebook is just going to be uploaded, right? But it'll be a premiere on YouTube on the main and the backup channel. And if y'all come in and y'all making comments, at least possibly, hopefully, if I have a signal, if y'all see me comment over here, that mean I got a signal. Yay, and we can chat while we watch my pre-recorded video that I'm gonna probably do tonight. All right. Okay. Let me see. Where am I pause at? I probably should just pause right here. Right where I'm at. Ooh. Wait a minute. Yeah, let's just pause right here, y'all, because we're at 57 minutes. I think this will give me something to do. We'll finish this. We'll finish chapter 14 tomorrow, right? So we're gonna pause right here. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. Let me mark my page, and I gotta go look up this Fourth Kings thing, y'all. If y'all was here earlier, y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we'll pause right there. All right. So today, y'all, it is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. October the 12th, 2021. This is day 277 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 946. We read Job 31, 32, and 33. And we read Caesar's Messiah. We started chapter 14, which is entitled Building Jesus. Matter of fact, that's going to be our title today. Building Jesus and the cruci-FICTION, right? That's going to be the title. Somehow I'm going to do that, but that's going to be the title for the day. It's chapter 14. We read half of that chapter, starting at page 329, and we paused on 339. So let me mark this spot. Put it right here. And when I start this back up, I'll do a quick overview, and we'll read the rest of this chapter for tomorrow. But then we won't be here the next day because it'll be the Sabbath. Remember this moon cycle. The Sabbaths rotate to Thursday because the new moon was spotted on Thursday. And the next new moon cycle, guess what? It go back to Friday, right? So all those are celebrating on Friday. By default, we'll all be celebrating it on the same day, right? At least once or twice. Let's see. I would say 2, don't quote me. At least 2 to 3 times everybody, well, no, I ain't gonna say everybody. Okay. Yeah, let's say that. At least 2 to 3 times a year, those who celebrate the Sabbath, whether if it fall on Friday, will by default be celebrating it at least 2 to 3 times a year on its correct Sabbath day, simply because remember Yahuwah's calendar is fixed from the beginning of time. It's us who need to make the adjustments because time has been screwed with, right? So the calendar that we live on, in order to stay on Yahuwah's fixed calendar, we have to adjust our days and we have to rotate. So our Sabbaths would rotate, although they're not literally rotating from Yahuwah's fixed time, but we have to rotate them on a calendar that we use to keep them on their day where they should be set at. That's been fixed, right? Okay, and we learn how to do that by tracking the sun, the moon, and these stars, right? Okay. That's just a quick summation. So, but yeah, next month it'll shift to the new moon if we spot it, because I pre-calculated it, right? If it shows on the day that's pre-calculated where we're going to be looking for her at the end of this moon cycle, we should be able to spot her on November the 5th. Went right to it. November the 5th, which is a Friday, and we will be entering into the 9th month. Currently, we're in the 8th month of the year, right? So, but yeah, that's it. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and do the blessing. Blessing, blessing, blessing. Remember, the blessing is found in Deuteronomy. I'm sorry, that's the Shema. Blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verse 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. And Yahuwah said a man or a woman can take it, right? And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Whose name do we put on Yahuwah's people? Not Jesus, not Yahusha, not Yehoshua, not Yahweh Shabi. Yahuwah said, put my name on my people, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all. Let me check for Tootie Baby. Bella! Because she don't let me live it down in the morning. Bella! I hear feet running around. I know she woke. Okay. Somebody coming down the stairs. Bella woke?
No, I don't know where she is.
She's in my room. Go double check.
Can Jackson end it?
Go double check. Tell her I said come here. Kind of let it end it. Or she be in a mood for at least like the next hour of the day. I be like, girl, get yourself together. It ain't that serious. But apparently she thinks it is. So I'm doing my due diligence. Make sure she woke.
Sorry, you already know.
If she sleep, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Tell Bella I said, come here.
Tomorrow is the case.
Isaiah. She might be asleep. Hold on. 1 second. She woke.
I'm about to end it.
Bella! Hey! It's Bella woke. No, it's Bella woke.
Hello. We will be talking about taxes. Water taxes, food taxes, car taxes,
Yeah, okay.
every taxes.
Okay. She was. See, she just waking up. Here she come. Hold on. Okay. All right. Come on, Tootie. Don't lift him up. Come on, Tootie. All right. Go ahead. End the video. All right, y'all. There we go. All right. Say bye, everybody. All right, y'all. Peace. Go ahead.